Here on Spectrum Geeks, we talk about all different things. Obviously, we're passionate about technology, but kind of trying to build a community here and talk about just things that's kind of going on, things that are interesting. We're talking a lot about the solar journey and things recently. And this video is going to be a little bit different. This is about a book that I read a couple of months ago called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying. And it really has kind of been life-changing, so I thought I'd share it with you, and maybe it's something that you can benefit from. So I want to start by saying, before you kind of jump to any kind of conclusions or call me a hypocrite, I'm very aware, I guess, that I'm fortunate. I have a good job, I buy nice things, and I enjoy gadgets and technology, and obviously many of them I've showed with you on this channel. Some of them I obviously get to review by companies, but some of them I'm also purchasing myself. And this is kind of just to talk to you a little bit, kind of some of the things that I've been feeling and kind of been thinking about recently. And this obviously particular book that I mentioned at the beginning, which is called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying, and how it's really kind of helped me kind of move forward and start to think about things a bit differently. And for me, it's really helpful. So perhaps you're in a similar situation. I should be clear, this isn't about money or anything like that. This is just about kind of ways of thinking and the types of person that you may be if it's similar to me, and how this might help you. So just to provide a bit of background, I'm someone that I would say obviously is very passionate about technology. I like gadgets and bits and bobs, and I have plenty. And I wouldn't say I'm a hoarder, but I'm definitely someone that up until recently would say I'm very possessionable. So I like to have something to show for my money. At the same time, kind of caught in this kind of little weird loop. So I spend a lot of time working, and like now, obviously doing these videos in the evening, checking this stuff out in the evening. And I'm not complaining about that, but I'm conscious that I don't always have as much time as I would like to do things, because there's work and there's family, and then there's lots of things that I want to do. I'm quite an active person in terms of projects and things I want to achieve. So very kind of achievement driven. And so it can just be simple things like seeing a pile of books in the corner, or the bookshelf needs cleaning, or a box of crap that needs sorting out. But I never kind of get time to do that, or I put that off and basically was never making any progress. And then typically a lot of the things that I've purchased would be something that I consider to be a lot of money. And now by that I don't mean thousands. It could be as simple as something that was £50, but I'm no longer using it. But when I look to see how much it's worth online, someone would pay £5 for it, and I have this kind of guilt thing where I'm like, I can't get rid of that for only £5 because I paid £50 for it. So I just kind of will keep it there, and maybe I do something about it later. This is like a perpetual kind of problem, which led to that situation of having lots of things, but majority of them I wasn't using them, either because I just didn't have time, or I kind of lost interest in it. And so recently I've been reading lots of books, probably over the last year, in terms of I think I mentioned a little bit of it on the channel before, about minimalism and all this sort of stuff, as well as kind of financial independence and career leadership and all these different things, because that's some of the stuff I'm interested in. One of the things that I like about the minimalism kind of movement is I think it drives quite a lot to being organised. I think I am an organised person, and I like, I guess, this minimalist look where you haven't got loads of things everywhere. And in general I would say, I mean, in the cave there's still things here, but I don't have shelves full of knickknacks and all that sort of stuff. So things are quite well organised and relatively tidy. But the thing I don't like about minimalism the most is it sometimes can be seen as being about just not having anything. So you will just live out of a backpack and be able to go traveling and do all these amazing things, which I definitely like the idea of that. But I like things. I like my quadcopters. I like the tech stuff that I buy. I like the cameras. I don't want to give up those things because I enjoy them. And then I can't remember how I came across it. I think I was probably looking at videos on YouTube or something about minimalism and kind of, can you be a minimalist if you like tech and all this different kind of things. And I came across this woman called Marie Kondo, and she developed this methodology that she called the KonMari Method. I think the name is obviously something to do with her name, obviously Marie, and Con being part of her surname. It was something to do with her gran or something, but basically ever since she was little, she's kind of been obsessed with tidying stuff up, and obviously has annoyed many people by tidying things away and getting rid of them in the bin. But over the years, she's looked at different methods about why we clean up and getting rid of stuff and just throwing everything in the bin. And she mentions in her book, which again mentioned is the life-changing magic of tidying. And she said that she realized at some point in her life that she was tidying and getting rid of stuff, but it never kind of made her feel complete. And this is kind of how she came up with this KonMari Method. So I'm going to give you just a high-level overview of what it's about. If it's of interest, I recommend buy the book or listen to audiobook or read some stuff online. But basically, she breaks this kind of magic of tidying process up into a few areas. So the first thing talked about is commitment. So commitment to tidying up, to not doing something half-assed and taking forever about it, kind of within a defined period of time doing that. And she says that in general, obviously people are busy and people are working, so you can't necessarily dedicate weeks of time to do it. But in general, she would say that an average person working an average job will be able to kind of complete this process over 6 months. And she says it will change your attitude to things. And I think she's right, if I'm honest, in terms of how I'm feeling right now. And obviously it's been a couple of months, so it hasn't worn off yet. But I'll talk about that a bit more in the video and perhaps in some future things that I'm thinking about. So she speaks about committing to tidying up, and she talks about not tidying up for tidying up's sake, but what is tidying up and getting yourself organized going to give you? So is it that you'd have more time to spend with loved ones? Is it because things would look nicer? What is it? What's this image you have of your ideal lifestyle that tidying may help contribute? She also talks about just general discarding the crap that you don't want. So get all that crap out of the way before you kind of get started. And then she talks about how important it is to tidy up by category. So myself included, I still kind of do this. So I guess I adapted the method slightly. She doesn't recommend tidying by room. She recommends by tidying by category. So you get all the specific, so let's say for example, you have this teapot collection. So you're going to tidy up your teapots. You want to get all the teapots from everywhere in your house and your garage all into one place, so you can really appreciate just how many teapots you have, not just how many teapots you have in the kitchen and how many teapots you have in the garage. So as an example, and then she sets out these categories in a certain order, and she says it's important that you follow that order for a couple of reasons. One, it limits emotional bias, and that's kind of one of the things that I'd found is that these things that something I don't want to get rid of because it either has some emotional attachment when you start looking into it, as well as that kind of, oh, this cost me a certain amount of money, so I don't want to get rid of it. And really the main thing that this all comes down to, which is really simple, and I don't know why, but somehow this is the kind of key bit that really clicked with me, is for all of these things that you have, ask you the question, does it spark joy? So does it bring out joy in you? And I think one of the things that I realised a lot of the time, and maybe this can happen if you're having a bad day or you're stressed at work or something's not going well at home, you may decide to buy something or treat yourself to something, and it isn't actually that something that is bringing the joy, it's the purchasing of it. So can I keep that in mind as we go through this? So like I said, she talks about cleaning up in terms of categories. So she says start off by cleaning out, focus on clothing. So this is something that in general we don't have much emotional attachment to. So it's kind of starting off with this is kind of a good starting place. Then she says move on to books. Now I think this is a tricky one. Me personally, I'm not that emotionally attached to books, but my wife, for example, loves books, so this may not be best to be second on there. But obviously, I think she recognises that books have more emotional attachment than clothing. From there, you go on to paperwork. So in an ideal world for her, you'd have no paperwork other than some essential things like warranties and insurance and certain certificates and stuff. And I know some people keep, old bank statements and stuff for their whole lifetime. So you have to ask that question of what benefit and what joy is it bringing as an example. The other one after that is kimono, which stands for miscellaneous items. So things that don't have a specific category, just kind of those weird bits of junk that we all have around our houses. And the last one, which is the most difficult one, is mementos. That might be a picture frame or something you have on the mantelpiece or something. These things that have emotional attachment. And it could be photographs as well and stuff like that. And so one of the things that she says, though, is really important when you go through this process is that you don't get the books and start reading through them. It's sort of about kind of picking up the book, considering if it's going to kind of give you joy, and then if it isn't, then you're going to get rid of it, right? So it seems quite harsh, but for me, this is something that somehow just really resonated with me. And she speaks in the book about about that fact that you may have things that cost you money, you didn't want to get rid of it, or it's a book that you bought and you always planned to read it, but you never did. And you're probably never going to, right? Because if you really wanted to read that book, you would have read it when you bought it. So she says, kind of thank the book or thank the items. This is more of a cultural thing for her, I guess. But, thank the book for the joy that it gave you, or whatever this item was, the joy it gave you, and obviously the learning lesson you have of getting rid of it. And if you find, later on, you really did want it, then that's kind of also helpful that it confirmed that it's something that you really did kind of want in your life. So initially that might seem a bit strange because then you've thrown away stuff that now you wish you hadn't thrown away. But in terms of the overall picture, it's very likely that there's going to be a mega small percentage of things that you've got rid of that you wish you kept. So far it's been must be nearly 3 months, I think, or 2.5 months, and I haven't hit anything there yet. So for me, this really helped me basically go through my whole house. I've still got the workshop left to do, and then I will probably kind of just go around the house again and just keep on circling around and going through the categories and slim things down more and more. But I'm really kind of over the moon with how much progress I've made. And also the other added benefit is my wife saw me doing this and also started doing it as well. So our house in general has a lot less clutter. Storage compartments aren't full, so you open up drawers and cupboards, there's room in there. Everything isn't just chucked in there, and it feels great. And so kind of the situation where I'm at right now, just for a bit of statistics to kind of help you understand kind of how impactful this has been. So I bought a load of heavy duty 50 litre black bin bags. I filled 50 of those that had items in that couldn't be given away or sold. So they obviously went to the tip or the dump. So that's 50 of those bags. Around 20 bags and probably about 10 to 15 boxes were given to charity. A load of stuff I sold, and altogether right now I've made just over £1,000 on selling those things. And that money, some of the money I've saved, and some of the money I've bought a couple of things that I've been interested in for a while. So it's kind of like an asset kind of move. It didn't cost me anything, so I really spent the money. That's how the maths is working for me. Really, most importantly, the next three things really, it's given me a lot more free time to do more videos, play the drums, do some research on stuff that I've been interested in, because I'm not sat and kind of out the corner of my eye going, oh, there's really all those books that I need to read at some point, or those DVDs need sorting out, and look at all that junk that doesn't really sit up properly on the shelf, or I've got all these cupboards of stuff. So I've got rid of furniture and storage because I just don't need it anymore. So there's generally more space. So I really have got more time. And the other thing that has been quite clear to me that I didn't realise was a problem, but I think it's also clogging up mental space. So I wasn't really clear on where it was that I was trying to go, and this is kind of allowing me to have more mental space in terms of where I want to take my career, where I want to take my life, what's important to me, what am I prioritizing, and how do I think about kind of what I'm doing and how I'm trying to do it. And generally it has me asking more questions in terms of what do I spend my money on, why am I spending it, is there better things I should do with the money, and I've bought a lot less stuff, which is fantastic because it means I'm not bringing stuff into the home. I think this is kind of what she said, that if you go for this process and it's something that works for you, it can, you know, change your life forever because you're being much more considerate with the purchases you make. And it's kind of then led me down to doing some more research on some other things that I might talk about in the future. This kind of thing is interesting to you guys. So I know this might seem like a bit of a strange video, but I thought I would share it because even though it seems really obvious to me now, it's, you know, about understanding what it is that brings you joy in your life. For me, it's been kind of really impactful, really helpful. Also give me some thoughts as a parent, you know, kind of what I'm doing for my kids, the things that we're buying for them and the things that we're doing with them, and really kind of being more considerate about kind of what I'm teaching them for when they're getting older. But yeah, it really, the thing that I've taken away from this isn't just about things in the home, this is just in general about what it is that brings me joy and how can I move forward in life to optimize opportunities to do that. So, you know, seeing friends, making these videos, playing my drum kit, flying my quadcopters, having time to go out for a drive in the car, just to do things for joy, not because I need to go to the supermarket or because I feel I have to do something. So for me, it's been really good. So I recommend, if you even have the slightest interest, you know, try some of this stuff out. Feel free to leave comments. Perhaps you've already read this book and you didn't think it was very good, or you tried different things. But I think this is a much better approach for someone like me. It's not about minimalism. That seems to kind of be a byproduct, but it's not about getting rid of all the stuff in your life. It's about getting rid of the stuff in your life that doesn't bring you joy and focusing on the stuff that brings you joy, brings you happiness, and enables you to kind of make the most of the time that we have here with the people you have around you and the things that you have. Thanks for watching this video. A thumbs up would be really appreciated. If you're interested in other geek type videos, please consider subscribing to Spectrum Geeks. Why not also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And before you leave, why don't you check out one of these other videos that may be of interest. Thanks again for watching.